This is the reason that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Why the rich don't save any money. This is the very reason why most of the rich get wealthy and why the poor people just keep getting poorer. Hey, if you don't know who I am, I'm Marc 𝗨𝗶𝗍. I own $20 million plus in real estate. I have multiple businesses doing construction, real estate development, concrete, all sorts of things. And then I also have been an entrepreneur for pretty much my entire life. So the last 14 years, though, I've literally been pouring in construction, and the last 7 years really hard in the development space, particularly the luxury storage space. But why do the rich keep on getting richer? And if you're watching this and you're not rich, why do the poor just keep getting on poorer? Everything is getting more expensive. And, I want to come up with the very first thing. Most of the rich will understand the one thing that Warren Buffett always says: you need to make money while you sleep. Well, I was a contractor for literally the last 14 years. The first 7 years of my business, I literally thought I was living the American dream. I had my house paid for. I think I was up to 15 employees at that time. I was doing like $3 to $4 million in volume, and I thought I was living the American dream. Well, lo and behold, that I ended up not sleeping at night. I was literally, my sheets were turning yellow with sweat every night. I was having, slight panic attacks. I wasn't sleeping at all. My mind was just racing all the time. And that's really because I literally quit my 9-to-5 job to go work 5 to 9, or it seemed like even more than that at times. And through all of that, the doctor, just remember particularly, the doctor comes in, and I ended up going to the hospital for these panic attacks. I ended up getting rushed to an emergency room, and I was hanging out with buddies. And the doctor literally comes into the bedside, and he, puts his hand down, and he's just like, "Hey, everything looks really good. We're a little bit worried that, he just kind of asked me about what I was doing in my life." So I, went on. I was pretty proud about it at that point. We'll call myself an arrogant construction guy at that point. And I was like, I tell him everything. And I had an amazing wife, and I just had my first kid. And he's like, "Well, what happens if you die?" So then he asked that question. And I was like, "Well, is this a psychological meeting? This was about my health." And he just said, if you died, what happens to your wife and your kid is, and your businesses and everything that your money, you make all your money from this business, then how will it support your family? And I literally had to tell him, no, I literally, if anything happened to me, I would sell this company, or I'd sell, my wife would just liquidate the assets within the company, some trucks and whatever, trailers, and everything would be done. And it's because I didn't have the very first thing, and that was cash flow. I wasn't making money while I was sleeping. Everyone reported to just me, and everything happened to me. Basically, that business was history. So I was my own best talent, and I could not figure out how to do cash flow. So I made a change to go into development and into real estate and create a business that actually could operate without myself. Because that is where you actually provide yourself cash flow. If you're always trading time for money in a job, whatever, you never really have true cash flow until you create a source of, maybe you have a great job and you're a doctor, an attorney, whatever. You need to still have cash flow coming in just in case anything ever happens to you and you can't perform the work. So let's go into number 2. And the wealthy always understand that you need depreciation. And I'm not just talking any kind of depreciation. As a construction worker, this is how I thought depreciation went. I thought that, I just go out and buy a construction vehicle to reduce my tax liability. So, Mark made $100,000. Okay, as a construction worker, Mark, I need to go buy 2 vehicles for whatever, $60,000 and write them off. And I was like, oh, I'm so smart that I saved these taxes. And to save a couple, 30 grand worth of taxes, I ended up buying these pickups. So how they usually sell it to you is you use Section 179. It's just a term where you can write off a vehicle, anything over 6,000 pounds. It's a great tool. It's not the only tool, and it's not the smartest tool. Why is it not the smartest tool? Because those pickups did not appreciate at all. I promise you, other than the world of COVID, where vehicles actually appreciated a little bit, they've always depreciated in the history of mankind, especially brand new pickups that you write off. So understanding depreciation and how can you invest in something, maybe it's for your business, maybe it's something else, but where you buy real estate for your business, or maybe you just invest in real estate as an investor, and that's how you make your cash flow. Well, there's something special where you can use the same tools that I use to write off these pickups, and you can use things like bonus depreciation. And let's just say you have $1 million asset, for example. Well, it's likely that about 25% of that you will be able to write off in year one. So if you spent $250,000, put 25% down on that $1 million building, you get a paper loss applied to your taxes of negative $250,000 because you can bonus depreciate the asset. And so and it's not like that asset went down in value, right? Whether it's an office building that I'm standing in or an apartment building, storage, whatever it is, you can get a paper loss to apply that to your other income. And guess what? The buildings go up in value, right? Like that's where the tool gets unlocked. How can I get a paper loss on something that appreciates in value? That's where it comes in, and that's why I had it so wrong as a contractor and why I corrected my path. And I started reading books like Rich Dad Poor Dad and how I can use depreciation to apply it to help build my net worth and actually build value and provide cash flow for my family for generations to come. So let's get into number 3, leverage. So this is a tool where, if abused, again, if you're buying pickups or campers or boats or big houses, things that don't make any money, so to say, if you leverage those tools, guess what? You're just keeping yourself poorer. Well, how do the rich flip the script? Well, they leverage things like assets, these office buildings, storage, multifamily assets, right? Like they're leveraging assets where it's not particularly me making the payment on the building, but it's the tenants, right? Like at the end of the day, you want the tenants paying for the debt. And why would you want to hold debt? So say I had $1 million cash and I wanted to buy $1 million building. Well, if it was an 8% return, I would what? I would get about 80 grand per year. The problem is I'm going to pay taxes potentially on that 80 grand at some point. And I want to use good leverage. I want to pay interest. At least I would want to borrow 50% leverage. Very safe levels of leverage, right? And you can maximize leverage if it cash flows. If it doesn't cash flow, like things in today's terms, right? Everything's overpriced, debt is super high. You cannot over leverage anything right now. We're viewing most things at 50% LTV because we cannot get the proper cash flows without it. And, if you have the luxury of paying all cash for a property, we still think it's not the best tool. Why does a business like Apple have $120 billion in their bank account, but instead of paying cash for $60 billion to go buy, or go invest in assets, they actually leverage that $60 billion and they pay interest on it. They want to pay the interest because they can write that off. So leverage is a tool that the most wealthy companies in the world use. And that's why the poor get poorer, is they're not using leverage in the proper assets. And again, you're going to see that real estate's going to check a lot of these boxes. And I think most people have jobs where they can't just invest in real estate completely. They make money by trading their time for money other places, and then they buy these assets. You can buy it through syndication. You can buy it by investing in yourself. If real estate is complicated to you, but you want to learn more, I tell you to subscribe to my email, where I literally break down an entire deal, on the whole financial analysis of like a deal, what it looks like behind the curtain. That way you can educate yourself, and then you could say, hey, this is too complicated, I don't want to do it, and maybe I would just rather invest beside somebody, and that's kind of what I offer at Mac Capital. But anyway, we utilize leverage to maximize the return on investment. And that is the only thing that it should be used for, and that it should be used for safely. So It's not made for cars and boats and anything. That should all be paid for in cash. Even your house, I think most people should pay for in cash, even though that's not obtainable, and why I think most people should just continue renting. Like, it's not worth spending a bunch of money on your house and making your house your main investment. Your house has no chance of making you income. And if it does, it's not really your house. You're renting it out to other people. But try to have your house and all your net worth within most, we'll just say the government doesn't see your house as your net worth. So it's just a little key in there. But utilize leverage to its utility that's used made. So, all right, number 4, which I got into already, but it's good debt versus bad debt, right? So let's just talk about the cars. Let's talk about investing in a brand new car. Okay, well, does it have any chance of making you debt, any kind of income? Not unless you're literally going to rent it out and Turo it or whatever you're going to do, car hack the thing. Versus good debt. Is good debt, instead of paying rent on an apartment building for $1,500 a month, is it better to pay $1,500 in a mortgage? Well, I don't know. Do the math. It still is going to cost you money to maintain the house. It's going to cost you time to maintain the house. And are you really creating any net worth at all? Other than paying down a little bit of principal? I think that in most cases it's going to cost you more to own a home, especially with today's rates, than it is going to rent anything. Right now we are in a renter's nation because it is cheaper to rent than buy. It is the biggest spread in literally American history. So if you're someone sitting on the sideline saying, hey, I need to buy, you don't need to buy. I promise you, I would rather you save your $50,000 or whatever it is that you have for a down payment and go invest that somewhere. I promise you'll be more excited with the returns, and that thing will compound much quicker than your house ever will. So understand good debt versus bad debt. The campers and the boats, they don't qualify as good debt because you have no chance of making money with it. So that's usually how I do it. And I want to talk about the last one because this is literally the difference maker. And this is where, the rich understand how the macroeconomics of the world works. You may understand, how to go get a better job and make a little more income. But literally, this one reason is how the rich get richer. And they understand there's a secret tax. What is the secret tax? Well, as we all know, it's a key word called inflation. Inflation is something that is attacking your money every day. I promise you, the poor are saving money and the rich are living with no money at all in their bank accounts. They're investing it. Whether it's in a high yield savings account, yes, they maybe are saving some money there, but they are deploying it. I promise you, in good times or in bad times, they're still deploying capital. They're taking on risks because guess what? You are not beating this secret tax by investing in high yield savings accounts. That is not helping you. I think it's a good way to put your money reserves there, the Dave Ramsey way, like have 6 months of reserves, but all other money for you, if you're on the lower end of the scale, still looking for equity in real estate, apartments, storage, whatever, or if you're going to invest in your business, deploy capital where you're going to get the highest return on your money so you can help beat the secret tax. Because I think that inflation is very well manipulated nowadays. It's not like it used to be. If you read it from, literally 20 years ago, inflation's actually would be 3 times higher than they're reporting. If they're reporting it's 3% today, it's probably more like 9%. And the people winning are the people with equity and assets. And those people are also getting cash flow, depreciation, leverage. They have very good debt. They don't have any of the bad debt. They paid for their stuff in cash. And they're helping fight the secret tax, which is fighting at everyone's dollar. You got to think, home prices have gone up way faster than salaries have gone up. And the biggest gap between rent and home prices is here today. You need to be able to fight inflation, and I don't think you should do it through a home. You should do it through your investments. And I'm not talking 401k. That is not the best place to help beat it. Make sure that if you're investing in something, whether it's a business or real estate, I really think those are the 2 main places you should be looking to beat the secret tax, and that's really how the rich got richer. You can Google any rich person. There might be a few people in there that I got rich from maybe winning the lottery, but you're going to find very few of them. If you literally Google, The most wealthy people, they're going to get wealthy through businesses, or they're going to get wealthy through real estate. But you'll always notice one thing, that no matter if they got rich in business, they'll always own some kind of real estate on the other side. And that's because they need to take advantage of some of this other stuff that you're not able to take advantage in business. So guys, appreciate it. Make sure you follow, subscribe, share the channel with someone if this can help somebody. I'll see you in the next one.